When exactly will we know how good this team is? Will it be Sunday?
No, no.
No.
I think going back to 2 super chats ago, this is the perfect question after that. Way to tee us up because the 49ers winning this game and winning next week is we're not going to learn a lot if they win those games. If they lose one of those games, we know everything we need to know. Like we'll know that this team's just not a good team and it's over. And we'll be happy that they didn't make a big time trade because what's the point? But assuming they win these games, and I think they will, they're on a 3-game win streak, which is great. But really, to me, it's the 2 games after that. Once they get through the Buffalo Bills game, that's when we're going to know what this team really is. If they can beat both Green Bay and Buffalo, we're going to feel really, really good about this team. The conversations we're having about this team today are going to be completely different in 4 weeks from now. Deservedly so. They will have earned that. But if they lose one of those games, we're still going to be saying, okay, well, they have beaten now one good team and they lost to another good team. Do we trust that this team can win against good teams down the stretch? And can they have a back-to-back quality wins? The question still remains. So I think after that Bills game, we're going to have a much clearer picture of what this 49ers team is whether are they still middling? Are they now, have they turned the corner? Or did they go 0-2 in that stretch and they're just awful? Like we'll know. We'll know. So that's, to me, Green Bay, Buffalo after that.
That's what's tough about the spot they're in right now. Like they could beat the Bucks this week, and it wouldn't mean that they're back, quote unquote. But if they lose to the Bucks, it's terrible. It
Yeah,
might mean they're done. So we could learn how bad they are in the next couple of weeks. But if they beat the Bucks and beat the Seahawks and are 6-4, still doesn't say that much. And what's rough about the Buffalo game is that to me feels like a scheduled loss. I don't expect them to win that game because the week before they got to go to Green Bay. And in the past, there was a reason that they would stay on the East Coast between back-to-back road games. It's because if you don't, it's really freaking hard to win the second one. Problem is, when you stay back east and you get on East Coast time, when you come back, you almost always lose the first game back. So the Niners, you got to pick one. It's a tough one. Doesn't seem like they're going to stay out east between Green Bay and Buffalo. I don't even know how much we're going to. If they beat Buffalo under those circumstances, yeah, well, they're real. That's a team that can win the Super Bowl. But good luck.
Buffalo's going to be coming off a bye as well. I mean,
It's going to
it's
be
not going to be easy.
feet of snow as well, possibly.
Yeah, I think also though playing 2 quarterbacks back to back and maybe inclement weather that are mobile is going to give us a good look into what this defense is as well. I think that we can glean a lot from those 2 games, and we will. I think we're going to have a much clearer picture. Right now, we truly don't know. We know that they're getting healthier. We know the schedule early on is favorable. We just don't know which direction it's going to go. We're going to know a lot more after Buffalo, in my opinion.
Is it going to rain in Tampa this weekend?
It's not supposed to. It's about a 10% chance.
Okay. Is it one of those things where it just starts raining randomly sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a lot of potential in the back half of the season for weather games. And in those games, young Brock has a lot to prove. I mean, ball slips out of his hands if it's humid. So Tampa potentially, Green Bay, Buffalo.
The hard part about the weather this weekend is the forecast is low chance of rain, but there is a hurricane that's in the Gulf. It's not supposed to head our direction at all, but that can put crazy weather at any time our direction. So
there's a hurricane in the Gulf, and I'm coming to Tampa on Friday. You didn't tell me.
It's not going to be anywhere near Tampa. It's not going to hit even in Florida, but it will be out in the Gulf at that time.
You can't guarantee that. I'm terrified.
I can guarantee that. It's going to be fine. You're going to be okay, Grant.
Dude, last time I went to, not the last time, the first time I went to Miami, COVID broke out.
Oh, gosh.
And Kobe died. Same day. Traumatized.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was flying to Miami for the Super Bowl, that first one, and, like, on the plane, I'd paid for the Wi-Fi, and
Mhm.
so I got the update on Twitter, Kobe's dead, and then you start, like, popping your head up to see, like, who else paid for Wi-Fi, like, you're like, all these
Did
strangers,
you
"Did you
know?
see?
Did you
Did you
see?
see?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see?" And then, like, I changed planes in, I think, Charlotte, and then I've never seen anything like it, like, everyone in the airport being like, "Oh my god!" Like, people commiserating together,
Yeah.
complete strangers. It was like Kennedy, man. Anyway, although I was not alive for Kennedy, I'm only 30s.
Yeah, when Kobe passed, man, that's, it's great, like, people our age that have been around for a while, you're a little bit younger than me, but you still know where you were at during 9/11, right? Like, that's a
Mhm,
moment, when Kobe passed, I think that's another moment where you're
mhm.
gonna always remember, like, what you were doing and where you were at. That was crazy.
I don't think people remember, like, there was COVID and people were like, "Oh, this is kinda scary and ominous, but it'll be fine." Kobe
Mm.
died, and then, like,
Yeah.
the Super Bowl, like, every question was about Kobe, and there was, like, that little, "Hey, have you heard about this COVID thing?" And people are like, "Yeah, it doesn't sound so great. I don't know. I'll just wash my hands, though." And that's anyway, that's neither here nor there, but that was 5 years ago.
It's a crazy time, man, that was a crazy
That was a
time.
crazy time. Dave Barkley says, "When will we know if we're good? When Lyle leaves."
Oh my gosh, dude.
Shady Luke says he was talking about players can develop on special teams and being on the sideline. Bowman did do
Oh,
that as a rookie.
interesting.
We'll know how good this team is when they play Detroit.
Detroit's good, man. Detroit's good. I mean,
Yeah.
the watching them this last week, I've got Sunday tickets, so I watch way too much football. I quad box, and I've got multiple games going on at a time. Watching Jared Goff and inclement weather, I listen, I get it. The great team around him. This is not me saying Jared Goff's elite by any stretch of the imagination. But man, you got to give him some credit for him to complete as many passes as he did in that weather. First game outdoors for the Lions. And you're like, okay, well, now it's going to be, and it was pouring down rain the whole game up until the very, very end. And the game was already over at that point. So the whole time it's pouring down rain, up to 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts. They went for it on a fourth down, and he threw an absolute dime to Amon-Ra St. Brown in the corner of the end zone. He was damn near perfect. You look at the statistics, it's like, oh, he had like 145 passing yards or whatever. No, no, no. You watch that game and you understand what weather did to that game and could have done. And for him to come out and play that well in his first game outside the dome this year, the Lions are going to be tough. And not only that, they were already without Hutchinson. Then they lost their best secondary player due to a bogus hit. And they didn't miss a beat, man. They just went into Green Bay, dominated that game from pillar to post. Detroit is a really, really good football team. They're going to be tough.
It's interesting how little credit Jared Goff is getting this season. Like, I know he's not elite, but he has completed more than 70% of his throws in 6 consecutive games, and he has not thrown a pick in the last 5 games. Like, he's on a run right now that any quarterback would be proud of. Tom Brady would be proud of a run like this. Patrick Mahomes would be proud of a run like this, and it's only Goff who's doing it right now. And just because he's got a weird looking face and he doesn't really move that well, I feel like people gotta give him some credit. Sorry about your face, Jared. It's not it's a nice face.
He's got Eli face.
He does.
Tom Brady, it's interesting because Tom called that game. And remember when Tom called the Chief game and the way that he threw in little subtleties about Brock being okay and
Average.
that was an average throw and all. Man, the way he talked about Jared Goff, he's like, you don't understand what he's doing in this weather right now. Like this weather would ruin most players' games. And the fact that he is coming out here and dealing in this weather, he's like, this is super impressive stuff that we're watching. This is high level. He gave so much credit to Jared Goff that game. And I take, I mean, how can you not take seriously what Tom Brady says? But even without his commentary, it was very, very impressive. He made 3 or 4 throws in heavy rain and wind that were damn very, very impressive.
Yeah, and you start looking at like, okay, he's on a good team, but how many quarterbacks in the NFL could really operate the Lions offense with the level of efficiency that Goff has been able to operate it with in the last 5, 6 games? I don't know. There might be able to count them on one hand. Then you look at Brock, like, yeah, you don't have Christian McCaffrey this year, and Ayuk's been out, but I still think there's a lot of quarterbacks who could have like a 93 quarterback rating on this team and like a 4-4 record. Sorry to go there. We went 44 minutes without going there. I had to do it.
Yeah, I think this year, but I think then also to be fair, you look at what the 49ers did last year.
Don't be
We've
fair.
seen I know. We've seen them win with Jimmy Garoppolo, but the efficiency in what they were doing last year, I don't know that there's a lot of quarterbacks that could have come in and done what Brock did in this system last year. Again, same situation where it's like you got a lot of talent around you. But that again, that's not the argument that doesn't mean that Jared Goff's elite or Brock Purdy's elite. It just means for that moment in time in that system, they are the perfect operator of it. And that's what you saw with Brock last year. Maybe he can get there again, and that's what makes him worth paying to them. But that's what Jared Goff is in this system. I mean, you can say there are better quarterbacks, 100%. You can insert a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, and they would do great things. But the level of efficiency that he's playing at right now, he's gone like 4 straight games above. I don't even know. I got to imagine it's near 80% completion. I mean, it's incredible what he's doing right now.
Like, you could argue that maybe Purdy's a better fit for the Niners because
Mhm.
I think with Goff, you really need to give him a top level offensive line.
You do, yes.
You do. And so the Lions have that and the Niners don't.
Mhm.
So maybe on the Niners, you need a scrambler like Brock Purdy who can get away from pressure. On the Lions, I don't think you really need that. The pocket's there. You're in a freaking dome. Make throws. Make them all
Yeah.
over the field and hit the guys in stride. And who's doing that better than Goff right now?
Yeah, you need an arm too. I mean, he's got a better arm than Brock does, and that arm plays with
He's more
that
accurate than
offense
Goff
does.
too.
You mean Goff's more accurate than Purdy?
That's exactly what I meant. But Goff is also more accurate than Goff. You didn't think about that.
I know. I didn't think about that. That's levels above. That's levels
Yeah.
above. What is it? The stat is 30 straight passes he's completed to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Last 30 times he's thrown to Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's been a completion.
Who does stuff like that?
It's
Drew Brees
very
never did
impressive.
stuff like that. This is an
Yeah.
incredible run that Jared Goff is on right now. And people are like, yeah, but he's trash. Well, no. No. And he's not mid. But we're not here to talk about Detroit. We could, though. It's a good team.
We could. We turn into a Detroit Lions podcast.